When our client was accused of a DUI car crash on Thanksgiving night, we got the charges dropped. If you want to find out, watch this video and we'll show you how. I'm Adam Rossen with the Rossen Law Firm. We help good people when bad things happen to them so they can achieve their best future. So in today's video, I want to talk about a client of ours, Kendall. This happened at Thanksgiving, really right after Thanksgiving dinner. It's actually a very scary accident. This happened in Deerfield, Broward County, about 3 years ago. So Kendall's a young girl, mid-20s, graduated from college, has a good job, and she was at Thanksgiving dinner with her family. And afterwards, she was going out to meet some friends and go out for the night. And she's driving on I-95 right around Deerfield, and there was tons of construction in this area. It's still in the process of being widened for extra lanes, and it's just a complete nightmare, this traffic situation. And what happens is she spins out of control and she hits the barrier wall. She spun around about 3 times, went through 3 or 4 different lanes of traffic and hit the wall. Luckily, first and foremost, she's okay and nobody else was hurt. Nobody else was involved directly with her. And so 2 passerbys, they're driving by, they call the police. We got the 911 call in this case, and they couldn't identify who it was. They didn't know if it was male or female or anything. They just said, car spun out of control. This was really serious. We think something happened. I hope that this person's even alive and okay. So the police, Florida Highway Patrol, after about 10-15 minutes, they get there. Now, our client Kendall, she's already outside of the car when they arrive and they approach and they start talking to her and they smell alcohol in her breath. Yeah, she said she had a beer at dinner, Thanksgiving dinner with her family. They immediately went into overreaction mode, immediately went into, okay, we're gonna do a DUI investigation. So they did that. That area, right, it's I-95, it's dark, there's cars whizzing by, it's windy, it's not ideal conditions. So what they did is they put her in the back of their police car and they took her off 95 to a Wawa gas station. And that's where they did the field sobriety exercises. And of course, they said she did them and did them poorly. Every single report that I've ever read says people do them poorly. She failed them. They arrested her for DUI and they took her down to the station and they asked her to give a breath test. And she was compliant. She said, Adam, yeah, I did everything they asked me to do, of course. She goes, I don't think I was drunk. I don't think I was impaired. I literally had a beer. I had a beer at dinner. You know, was I tired? Was I scared? Was I shaken up from the crash? Absolutely. But was I drunk? No, I didn't think so at all. I lecture at many places on this stuff, and every time I lecture, I have somebody sober do the exercises. And in over 15 years as being a lawyer and doing these lectures, nobody, probably 1,500 people have never, ever passed my field sobriety exercises. First of all, they're supposed to be on video. And in this particular case, Florida Highway Patrol's video malfunctioned. So we didn't even have any of this stuff on video. Some people might say, well, Adam, that's terrible for you because they're saying that she's doing all of these things. They're claiming that she's drunk, impaired, wasted, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, you would want that video. And yes, of course we want the video. But what people forget is it's not our job. It's not our burden. It's the prosecutor's burden to put forth the evidence and to bring the evidence in order to get a conviction, in order to prove that Kendall was guilty of DUI beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt. If these are the scales of justice, it has to be overwhelming evidence of guilt. And anytime there's lost evidence or a malfunction, that blame must be put on the prosecutors because it's their burden. So that actually turned out to be a good thing. Why? Well, we couldn't see her stumbling like they said she was. We couldn't hear her slurring like they said she was. We couldn't see any of those things. So first of all, that was fantastic. The second thing is, when somebody's in an accident of that magnitude, they're in shock. Her airbags deployed, front and side airbags. That was a serious crash. And when somebody's in shock like that and banged up and injured, they shouldn't be asked to do these field sobriety exercises standing up. There's a whole bunch of field sobriety exercises that are, according to them, of course, standardized. that can be done while being seated for the exact purpose of somebody who has injuries or who's been shaken up from a car crash. Did these officers do them? Of course not. They did not do them. And we had them in deposition saying they knew about them and they chose not to do them. That was another part of our case that got really good for us. And not only is it gone, is it not on video, but they're admitting that, hey, we didn't give her a fair shake. Third great thing is they took her off scene from 95 to a Wawa. Well, Wawa has surveillance video. So they could have got that surveillance video to have shown exactly how she looked and how she performed on the exercises as a backup since their equipment failed. Did they do that? Of course not. They didn't do that at all. So that's another thing, right? This is law enforcement. This is the government. This is police. They have immense money and immense power to get those things. And they made a conscious decision to not do it. So any of those issues doesn't get held against us. It gets held against the prosecutors. Now, they took her down to the station and she gave a breath test. She blew over the legal limit. She was at a .214. So 2.5 times the legal limit. And some people might say, well, okay, Adam, well, then she obviously lied to you about what she drank. And I say, no, it doesn't work like that. First of all, these machines are calibrated wrong. They're using old technology. It's not precise at all. It's to the point where law enforcement in Florida is not even allowed to open up or kind of quote unquote go under the hood of these machines because the manufacturer will pull the contract from the state of Florida. It uses a lot of averages with their old software and it doesn't take into account people's individualistic body chemistry. It doesn't take into account a female versus a male. They use averages for everything. What it does is it skews the numbers high. But one of the other important things, especially for Kendall's case, her breath sample was 2.5 hours after the time she was driving. Now, what the prosecutors have to prove is that she was over .080 at the time she was driving. Not that she was a 214 2.5 hours later. They had to prove what she was as close as possible to the time of driving. And when we're talking about that amount of time, they were not able to prove really what was in her system 2.5 hours before and whether she was absorbing alcohol or eliminating alcohol, where on the bell curve it really was. Okay, and again, these are things that we don't have to prove that she was under the legal limit. They're the ones that have to prove it and convince a jury beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt. But on this case, there was actually more. The biggest glaring issue on this case was that nobody, and I mean nobody involved in this case, could put her behind the wheel of the car. A lot of times, right, this could be considered a legal technicality. Well, you know what? It is. But at the same time, our job is to make sure that the police and the prosecutors prove their cases and uphold the Constitution. And what happened is nobody, no police officer, no civilian ever saw her behind the wheel. The two people that called 911 didn't even know if it was a male or a female. They couldn't identify her. Nobody stayed on scene. Nobody stopped to say, hey, ma'am, are you okay? And I saw this woman stumble out of the car. All the police had was they arrived, there was a car that was not registered to my client. My client was outside the car and they never saw her behind the wheel. So we filed a motion to suppress, saying that this was a completely illegal arrest to begin with. And we filed a bunch of motions on some of the other issues that I talked about as well, and this. We thought we had a really good chance to win this. And if we won this case on that issue, the entire charges would have been dismissed. The problem is sometimes judges get it wrong. Oftentimes judges get it wrong. And when they do get it wrong, we have to appeal. And when we have to appeal to a higher court, that usually costs the clients more money. The clients are still serving their punishment, and we might not right that wrong for a year or two, until the appellate courts can have the opportunity to get through the backlog of cases and they can right that wrong. So even though we were confident, we put ourselves at maybe a 75-80% chance to win, we had to have a discussion with Kendall and say, listen, Kendall, this is the type of situation we feel very confident, we think we're going to win, but you never know, judges make mistakes. And the morning of the motion, the prosecutors came to us and basically said, look, we're going to give you an offer you can't refuse. And they reduced the charge, not to a reckless driving, which is a very good result in most cases. They reduced it to a careless driving, which was a traffic ticket. Our client didn't do any probation, She did not plead to a criminal offense. She just pled to a careless driving traffic ticket. She was over the moon happy. It was the best $150 traffic ticket she ever had, ever spent. She was so happy to do that and get that behind her. And we were very happy because in the event that the judge made a mistake, we didn't have to put her through a 2-year appeal. We didn't have to charge her more money, which we never want to do. So this was a fantastic, amazing result that happened for her. The police bungled the investigation every single which way. And really, this was a situation where the police, what they should have done, they never should have arrested her. The number one element in a DUI is driving or actual physical control of a vehicle, basically being behind the wheel. Whether they thought she was drunk or not, or DUI or not, it didn't matter because they couldn't prove it. It was an illegal arrest. And that's just an example of some cases that when they come to you, a lot of clients will say, I blew 2.5 times the legal limit, Adam. I'm screwed. Why would I pay this money and hire a lawyer? And this is exactly why. When you hire the right lawyer or lawyers in the right law firm that knows what they're doing, they know how to look at this and peel back every layer of the onion, so to speak. We never look at it and go, yeah, you blew, you're screwed, you're gonna lose. No way. Some lawyers do that. Lesser lawyers do that. But we did a great job for her. She's super happy. We're super happy. She was banged up, but she's fine now. Nobody else was hurt. She's advanced on her career. I think she's gotten 2 promotions since this happened, and she's so happy. And we've helped her achieve her best future. So if you have any questions about any type of legal case in South Florida, just give us a call. This is what we do. This is what we handle. Criminal and DUI defense. 754-206-6200. That's our number. And we'd love to talk and figure out how we can help you out.